we will discuss inshallah in this time that we have. It's a unique surah of Quran Kareem. The entire Quran is a living miracle. When we say living, why we say miracle? Living is that although it was revealed 1,400 years ago, and normally whatever was revealed within 50 years after its time is born. For example, the clothing 50 years ago which people wore, if you wear today people will laugh. The language of 50 years ago, if you talk today people will laugh. It will not be understood. Every new generation says the old generation doesn't understand. And every 10 years technology changes. What was unique of the past is no longer unique. Everything changes, nothing remains living. You are young today, at time comes to you are old. A girl, no matter how pretty she could be today, she loses that beauty. How she was walking with style and moving side to side, at time comes when she bends. The beautiful smile of hers no longer remains beautiful, because if she smiles, there's no teeth. Everyone changes, because no one is living. But now we imagine something that pulled for 1,400 years, and it's still living. And that same enjoyment that people got 1,400 years is still being taken. And you call that living. And what is called a miracle is that no matter what happens in the world, no matter what evil is brought, the phone is taken out, internet is taken out, WhatsApp is given, Facebook is given, there are parties, there are raves, there's entertainment, there's your peer pressure in school, there's everyone telling you walk in one direction. The whole shaitani world is trying to tell you, give up religion. Religion is a shuttle for you to come to the masjid, Fajr time, and Isha time. There are much better things you could be doing. Sleep in the morning, watch TV at night, spend time with your friends, smoking is enjoyable, drugs is enjoyable. In such a time where you will see the current of the water, it's not only moving but it's flowing rapidly in one direction. In that move, if you ever see a fish, that as the waves are pushing, that fish is going against the current. It's going against the tide. And no matter what force is pushing it away into the waters, it's jumping. And it carries on jumping and it's coming closer and closer to wherever it wants to go. When that fish will reach where he wanted to reach his destination, you say that's a miracle. But the whole world was pushing in one direction. And that fish was somewhere coming. And if you ask that fish, what brought you? And if that fish says that I fell in love with one other fish, and that fish was in that pond, and no matter what the world did to try to keep me away from my beloved, but it was love that pulled me. And no matter what wave hit me, I jumped the wave. No matter what problem came in my life, I jumped the problem. Just because I had something in my mind, the other fish. It's called love. And that love we all understand. A boy goes in love with a girl. The whole world will push in one direction. He will somehow jump everyone and land where he wants to land. But where the miracle comes is that there is a love that me and you enjoy. We enjoy that love for Allah Ta'ala and for Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Why we have that love, we don't know. That is why it's called a miracle. A boy who's madly in love with a girl, he knows why he loves her. When she sends a message, he doesn't sleep at night. It makes an itch in his body. He waits because he saw her. She got a lovely smile. Her cheeks are normal. Her face is normal. But that same girl, if she meets in an accident, and that face becomes disfigured, and now she can't talk to him anymore. She's down. And she can't walk to him anymore. She's lame. Now will he ever wait for a message for her? Now his dua is, I hope she doesn't ever think about me. Why? Because she's not there anymore. You can only love someone who you can see. But where a miracle comes is that Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam left this world over 1,400 years ago. But that love that me and you enjoy for him, although we have never seen him, we have never spoken to him, we have never had a loving relationship with him, but there is something in our heart that even when we stand in front of his roba, the place where he is buried, and And at that moment, even if my phone makes a buzz, but I am grabbed with such a unique level of love that at that moment I just stand. And I say, this is a miracle, this love. That it is this love that I have for you, O Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That in the morning when the whole world says sleep, the muezzin says hayya al falah, then I find myself somehow pulling myself out of bed. I find myself coming to the masjid in the cold days. I find myself coming to the masjid in the heat of summer. It is so hot in the afternoon when I'm walking to the masjid. And the whole world is going in one direction towards secular sciences. And one person is saying, if you become a doctor, you will earn so much. Another one says, become a lawyer, become an accountant. Everyone is saying what your salary will be, how much you will earn. And you will find one boy is saying, I want to become an alim. Another one is saying, I want to memorize Quran. You ask him why? What are you going to get out of it? He says, I also don't know. But there's a certain love I got, which is just telling me, you memorize Quran. And daily I go to the class, now start might hit me, now start might shout me, I'll change class after class. Someone will tell me, it's so hard, just leave it. I say, I'll carry on. It take me 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. What is that? It's called a miracle of love. That is that love I want to discuss. And we have a certain relationship with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but we don't know why. But now if we can tap into that relationship, and we can start experiencing it more. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam once upon a time said that I just can't wait to meet my friends. So the Sahaba radiallahu anhu said, we are your friends. He said, you are my companions, because you are in my company. The friends I am speaking about will be a group of people who are going to come with the passing of the years. Meaning after 20 years, 30 years, 40 years of my death, people never saw me. But they will come to Medina Munawwara and they will sing in front of me poems of beauty. They will say, oh Allah's Nabi, we will give our life for you. With 30 years. Then there will be a time, 300 years later, people will still be coming to Medina Munawwara. And they'll also be standing in front and saying, we'll also give our life for you. And thereafter it will be 3,000 years down the line. We are sitting on 1,400 years. In this world, if you ask anyone, do you know any leader who passed 100 years ago? The Christians do not know so much of Jesus. The Jews will never know so much about Moses, Nabi Musa alayhi salam, Dawud alayhi salam, Sulaiman alayhi salam. Whatever the world knows about them is like this. We are the only nation that enjoys such a relationship. That when I wake up, we learn in madrasa one dua, Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'da ma amatana wa ilayhi nushur. And you read it. And if someone says, why do you read it? I say, I am the only one from every nation that came in the world. There were people who were mad in love with the Roman Empire. There were people madly in love with the Persian Empire. There were people who adored and worshipped the gods. They were their own gods. You will go to the temple of the Hindus. You will see 100 or 1,000 gods. You will ask them what's the most famous amongst you. They might say Ra. They might say Brahman, whatever name they give. So then you will ask them that Ra, whoever this God is. When this God would wake up in the morning, what would the God do? Would the God go to toilet? Would he read something? Would he eat something? They don't know anything of the God. You say, what an amazing God you got. That you yourself don't know anything about your God. Then you will ask, who brought the message of the God to you? Who is your messenger? They will give you some name. You will ask them, you know the man, who he was married to, whose son he was, where he lived, what was his contact? The man will say, I know nothing. You will ask the Christians that you all worship Jesus. You will take him as the Son of God. Wherever I drive in the road, I see Jesus is your Savior. You have made Jesus so high. Nabi Isa alayhi salam, he is Nabi Isa alayhi salam. What a Nabi. But the Christians have taken him to a mantle that you are Lord. So you ask the priest, he knows more than the Christian. That Jesus, you have made him God himself. But do you know Jesus? Where was he born? He doesn't know. Who he grew up with, who are his friends? He doesn't know. What difficulties he went through in life, he doesn't know. When Jesus was in charge, was there a time, he doesn't know. See what du'as Jesus made in the morning, evening, afternoon, he doesn't know. We are the only nation for Allah wanted us to have a living malika. This living malika starts with this. That I am the only person from the entire world. I am of that ummah who can say from my morning to my night, from youth to old age, from not married to married, from poverty to wealth, from weakness to greatness, in every walk of my life, I have in front of me a mirror called Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And it is such a unique mirror that as I see it step by step, my love for my Nabi becomes stronger and stronger. When I close my eyes, sometimes I actually see my Nabi hugging me. When I stand in front of the Rawdah and I see a waterfall of Allah's divine splashes falling on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I actually feel it falling on me. And I say I have been made like this because I love what my Nabi. You have to understand this. Allah created 3 places in the world where there is a divine waterfall. Like how rain is coming now, we have a waterfall. The one waterfall we will all understand is on the Kaaba. The Kaaba, that building that is there from the beginning of time, a waterfall started falling on it. It was called the waterfall of the divine beauty of Almighty. And until today it falls. That is why when we go for our Umrah, we don't know what we see in the Kaaba. There is some beauty in the Kaaba that's like a magnet. That just grabs my heart. I look at the Kaaba, I'm shocked. And then everyone is in the hotels eating some donuts, drinking some coke. And I don't want to be there now. Suddenly I just want to go around the Kaaba. I want to make 1 tawaf, 7 rounds. Then I'm tired, I drink a little zamzam. The world will tell me now go to the shops, buy something, burgers, hot dogs, whatever you want. I say I'm not interested, I'm in love with the Kaaba. And I go again for another tawaf. If someone asks you, what are you seeing in the Kaaba? Say, my eye can see nothing, but my heart is seeing something. There's a unique beauty that's falling on the Kaaba. And as that beauty falls, that man who goes around the Kaaba, it splashes on him. And he falls in love with Almighty Allah, although he has never seen Allah. So that is one place where it falls. And another place where it falls, and this is the one I want to explain, and learn and understand it. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam came into this world when the entire world was in darkness. And now he brought a mission which was going to last till the last day. Every other Nabi that came, all he had to tell his followers is that now I'm going. And I give you the glad tidings of a man who will come at the end. And when you will come, meet him, follow him. And with him, light will spread in the entire world. Nabi Musa took out his followers who were being oppressed by Firaun. It was a small group of humanity. And he brought them away from Firaun and he brought them close to the lands of Al-Aqsa. And he also told them, one day you will take over the lands of Sham. But control over the whole world, and give you all the glad tidings, it will one day happen. But it's not going to happen now. Nabi Sulaiman came, what a unique empire he had. He was moving in the skies with a throne that could fly. He knew the sounds of the birds, they talk. He understood the talk of the ants. There was no army that could compete with Sulaiman alayhi. But he also told the Bani Israel that I give you all the glad tidings that one day the deen of Allah will be in the entire world. He also could not bring it, although he was the mighty Sulaiman. Nabi Isa alayhi came, he was called Ruhullah. He had Jibreel alayhi on his side. But he fought against the Roman Empire, he could not fight. The Jews of his time itself was too strong. The Indians surrounded him. So he would tell the few followers he had, I give you all glad tidings of a man who's coming. Every Nabi that came with a promise that one day There will be a religion that will spread light in the entire world. But no Nabi could do it. And then Allah's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born. And I want to take you on this journey to understand what relationship you and I must enjoy. He was born in a time of darkness, utter darkness. Immediately when there is so much darkness, you say you only have 63 years left of your life. In 63 years from Africa to Asia, America, South and North, North to South, East to West, you have to put on the candles of light and spread it in the entire world. You will have to break the Roman Empire. You will have to break the Persian Empire. You will have to create lawyers, people who will be able to explain your Sharia. You will have to create qadis and judges. You will have to create the best army that the world has ever seen, that can go in the world carrying a flag and take down any empire. You have time to quickly create in you the best of scholars, that whatever question will be asked, there has to be a Abu Hanifa who can give the answer, a Shafi, a Maliki, a Ahmad bin Hanbal. You in your small masjid of Medina, the masjid was so small, there was no air cons, there was no light. Tamim Dari radiallahu anhu would bring a candle at the end of Rasulullah's life. It was a university that had to take place. You got a short while, 63 years, to establish a university that will continue creating scholars for the next 2,000 years, warriors for the next 2,000 years, judges for the next 2,000 years, da'is, muballighs, teachers, everything. So in 63 years, man would have thought, how could one man ever do this? Thereafter, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam will be told, forget 63 years, 40 years of your life you are going to do nothing. Your nubuwwah won't start. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam was born. When he was born, the whole world shook. The Roman Empire, they saw dreams that your time is coming to an end. The Persian Empire saw dreams, your time is coming to an end. The Persian king one night woke up. It was the birth of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was the month of Rabi. Rabiul Awwal means the spring. The beginning of spring, because when spring comes, the flowers suddenly come out. They were never there, but when they came, how they came out? He saw a dream. In the dream he saw that he's different. But you have like minaras, they also had minaras. He saw one after the other was falling to the ground. And thereafter in the morning he woke up. Someone came to him and said, you know the mighty fire of the Persians? For 1,000 years it burnt. But last night whatever we did to keep it burning, it just died. And somebody else came and said, the river that we worship, the river Sawa, which we worshipped as a god. But last night the one river we were worshipping went dry. And the other river we worshipped, that flooded its banks. That one caused so much of harm, that one caused so much of harm. Somebody else came and said, your 12 minaras last night fell, one after the other. Now the king is wondering, what's happening? And then he says, I had a unique dream last night, but I don't know who will interpret. He said, in the dream, his minister said, I saw this dream. In the dream I saw that Arabian horses were pulling Arabian camels over the rivers of the Tigris and the Euphrates, meaning from the lands of Arabia into Iraq and Iran. At that time, Iraq and Iran was what we call America today. It was the center of civilization. When you will do in school, you will learn the beginning times, the magical gardens of Babylon. Babylon was Iraq. You learn of the unique civilization of Mesopotamia. Mesopotamia was Iraq. That was the center of the world. And we saw from the land of the Arabs. And the Arabs at that time were so low, that number one, they were killing their own daughters. They had no life. They were eating bugs and beetles. There were such people whose life was just with cows, with sheep and with goats, with camels. The Romans never want to rule over them. They said these are like barbarians. The Persians never wanted to rule over them. They were just a group that was wandering. You want to know what's an Arab? Go to Arabia today. But not in Medina Munawwara itself. Go out to the deserts and you will see a Bedouin. You will see a small tent. You will see his 2 camels, he's milking it, he's drinking its milk, that's his life. Then he sleeps, finished. You ask him anything, he's hard-hearted because he lives in a desert. He might smile at you, he might slap you. He got no life, he got no culture. At that time now, the world was being told, the Persian king was being told, a time is coming where everything is going. What a dream he sees. So he says to his one minister, what does this dream mean? So the minister says, there's one man in Sham. Sham is Syria. Syria is very far from Iraq. He says, there's one man in Sham who works with the jinn, with the shayateen, who tell him a lot of things that's going to happen in the future. If you want, I will make the journey from Iraq all the way to Sham. And if I find my uncle, I will ask him that you are a man of the knowledge of the books and the unseen, and things that will happen in the future. What's happening in the world? So the king says, go very quickly. The man narrates that I came to my uncle in the lands of Sham, and I found my uncle was on the verge of passing away. He was in a state between death and life. He was going unconscious, coming again. So I started crying. There's such a long journey I made. I got this dream of mine. And I don't know who's going to give me the answer. How do I go back to the king? So he says, suddenly my uncle's eyes opened. And before I could tell him the dream, he started narrating to me the dream. Because the jinnah had told him. So he says, my nephew has come from a very distant land, riding on a very fast horse, and he wants to inquire about the dream, where Arabian horses were pulling these camels over the Tigris and the Euphrates, and he wants to ask about the mighty fire that went dead, and he wants to ask of that river that flooded its banks, and that river that went dry, and then he just sat up, and he said, oh my nephew, listen well, it is إِذَا ظَهَرَ صَاحِبُ الْهِرَاوَةِ, that when that man will walk on the world, will have a stick. وَكَثُرَتِ التِّلَاوَةِ, and when a certain book will come in the world, which will be called Tilawat, Quran. He says, then remember there will be no Persian Empire after that, there will be no Roman Empire. He said, Sham no longer will remain a land for me and the Christians, and Persia will not remain a land for the Persians. He says, this man will take whatever lies on the earth, go and tell the king. When the king would have heard this, he would wonder, how will one man manage to take over the whole world? Will be Alexander the Great? Will be Napoleon? Will he be the great Caesar, who in their time 30, 40, 50 years managed to take lords? Will he be like Suleiman the Great? Will he be like Zulkarnain? Who will he be? But at that time the world was going to be told that we have now created such a leader that he is not going to control and run the world fully in 10 years, or in 20 years, or in 60 years. But his one being will give out so much of light to the world that he will be a beacon on who Allah's divine power will fall. It will fall during his life. And as it falls on him, 40 years had already gone. On the 41st year, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam gets wahi. As that wahi starts, the waterfall starts. When the waterfall starts, it starts giving out its effects. The first people around him will be Khadija radiallahu anha, his wife. It will be Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, his best friend. It will be Ali radiallahu anhu, his nephew. It will be Bilal radiallahu anhu, who was brought as a slave. It will be Zayd, who will be like his adopted son. And as that waterfall hits, and as it falls, suddenly this woman called Khadija becomes such a gem that Jibreel alayhi salam will come down and he will say, O Allah's Nabi, Allah has sent salams to your wife Khadija, and giving her the glad tidings of what a palace in Jannah that has been created for her. Khadija radiallahu anha gets shocked to say, how do I reply to the salam of Allah? Then Abu Bakr will be created, where Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will say that this man is such a gem that later on the death of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the whole world will stand against Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. Abu Bakr at the age of 62 will say, I'll take on the entire world. I'll take on the Persians, I'll take on the Romans, I'll send my armies out. No one can harm one Abu Bakr. And Umar will be created. And Umar later on will say, when I was young, my father one day smacked me and said, oh Umar, you don't know how to look after sheep and goats. And Umar will say, wow, if only my father can see me today, that I am sitting, sleeping under this tree. But I am the Khalifa or the ruler of 3/4 of the world. My armies are moving in the east, my armies are moving in the west. How did I manage to rule over the whole world? One Umar who couldn't look after a couple of sheep. As that waterfall fell, then one splash hit. One splash would hit a young boy called Abdullah ibn Abbas, young boy like you. He comes in front of Rasulullah, he brings some water to make khidmat. The Nabi takes the water for his istinja and wudu purposes. After that he calls the young Abdullah and he hugs him. And he says, what a wonderful boy. He says, may Allah give you the knowledge of Quran. One splash falls on Abdullah ibn Abbas. A time will come when Abdullah ibn Abbas will sit in the masjid. And his student will say, I saw my Ustad ibn Abbas, that he had a separate day for a different subject. There was one day where he only would discuss fiqh. One day only tafsir. One day only the wars of the past. He says, whoever would come, whatever question they would ask, regarding geography, regarding science, regarding astronomy, regarding Quran, regarding Sunnah, regarding inheritance, regarding maths. One Ibn Abbas, which university he studied in, but one splash falling from Rasulullah onto him, and he becomes a scholar who can answer the entire world. That Rasulullah had to be created. 40 years had gone. No one was created. 41 year. Allah's Nabi stands up to give da'wah. For the next 13 years in Makkah Mukarramah, he tells the people, hurry up. I got a mission to spread light in the whole world. But you people of Makkah don't want to accept my da'wah. 13 years have gone, 63 years, already 53 years is gone. Now he enters Medina Munawwara, he only got 10 years left to spread light in the entire world till the day of Qiyamah. You wonder, how are you going to do it? Where's your university? Where's your jihad camp? Where's your university? Where's your scholars? Where's your judges? Where's everyone? Rasulullah enters Medina Munawwara, the war starts. There is the battle of Badr, there is the battle of Uhud, 2 years have already gone. Then there is the battle of the trench, 5 years have gone. Now comes the 8th year of Hijri. In the 8th year of Hijri, finally it's called the conquest of Makkah Mukarramah. This is the first time that Allah's Nabi now enters Makkah Mukarramah. Now the different tribes start coming from all over to accept Islam. But Allah's Nabi only got 2 years left. In those 2 years now, there's a dream that the light of Islam has to move in the entire world. At the moment it's only gone in Arabia, finished. And now the death of Rasulullah is there. Now he starts getting fever. The final Hajj has taken place. 120,000 Sahaba plus, which is a big number but which is small. Because this 120,000 have to take over the entire world. They have to create the universities, the schools, the judges, everything. Is it possible? It's impossible. Allah's Nabi now is on the bed. Now the pangs of death start. Now he moves his curtain and he looks at a group of Sahaba in the saf of the masjid. And at that moment, normally what you would have done? At that moment you would have said that I was sent in the world with a dream. A dream to shatter every empire of kufr. There must be no idols, there must be no temples, there must be no churches, there must be no crosses, there must be no pigs that are being eaten, there must be no alcohol, there must be no adultery, there must be no so much. What a dream I gave in the world. But now I am passing away and my mission hasn't gone anywhere in the world. At that moment normally you will fall sad. But Allah's Nabi never falls sad at that moment. He smiled. Why did he smile? He smiled because he understood that the waterfall which Almighty Allah made, which is falling upon me in my life, and which gives its droplets over, and which has created an Abu Bakr and Umar and Usman and Ali, which has created men who are the lions of Allah, Hamza, who is Khalid ibn Walid, Saifullah, who would go into the Roman ranks, one man, and who could go right through the ranks and come out. A man who broke empires, who created a man who could be Amr ibn al-As, the conqueror of Egypt. He saw his Jamaat. He knew what a group I have created, that they will go in the next 30 years in the world and shatter the entire empire. But what about after that? And that's what I want to bring it down to. The thought that would have gone in Allah's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam's mind, that what after my Sahaba passed away? I created what a group of Sahaba. I have trusted them that they will go in the world, they will take down the Romans, and picture it. Now picture that small group from Medina Munawwara, that army going out. You know what the Roman Empire was? When we were small, we used to read Asterix and Obelix. And there you would see so many of the soldiers, all with their armies, all with their armor, all with their spears, all with their horses. Yet the whole world they're controlling. Now to take over them, you got a group of Sahaba. Sahaba had no armor. They never knew what it was to fight in armor. They had sometimes bare stomachs. They had sometimes a skip on. They had a qamis. Sometimes they would fight without anything covering their top. They had hardly any clothing. They never had that horse gear that the Romans and the Persians had enjoyed. They never had that artillery and that style and that maneuvers. And now you get that group leaving Medina Munawwara. And they're on their horses and on their camels. And you ask them, where are you going? And that one group of 30, 40, 50, they say, we are going towards the lands of Egypt. They say, what are you going to do? They say, conquer Egypt. Say, you? Another group is on the way to Rome. You're going to take over the whole Roman Empire. One group is going, Jerusalem will be ours, Sham will be ours, Baghdad will be ours, Iraq will be ours, Kufa will be ours. It's a dream that you say, is it possible? One America with all its might today, and with their powers over the skies, and with their atoms and atomic powers and bombs and blasts, they say, we'll conquer the world, but whichever country they go, besides they hiding, they're getting nothing else. Now finally the mighty empire of America is falling. British Empire was so strong once upon a time. They said whenever the sun does not set on the British Empire, because when it would rise in the one part, they were controlling that. As it would move during the day, they had control over that, this island, that island, that island. So the sun is setting over those islands, but it's rising over those islands. They said the sun does not set on the British Empire, but the time came when the whole British Empire fell to the ground. When I went to England, London, amazing it was, that I said, what a country this London is. And once upon a time, London controlled the world. And they said that the sun does not set on our empire. I said, but in the 30 days that I was in London, not one day I saw the sun rising in London also. You go to London, you'll understand, whole day it's cloudy. I said, forget the empire, the whole London got no sun. No sun. No empire ever took over the world and lasted. But now you got that group of Arabs who are going out. They say we are going to conquer the world. That happened. We all know it. Islamic history shows it how it happened. It's a dream that it happened. But I'm not speaking of that. I am now speaking of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam thinking that okay, after 100 years, my Sahaba will no longer be in the world. But for that next 100 years, he also smiled. Now how did he smile then? Because now there is no Abu Bakr and Umar and Usman and Ali. There is no Khalid bin Walid and Abu Ubaidah bin Jarrah. There is no army that I have created, Mu'adh bin Jabal, the Faqih of the Ummah, Abdullah bin Mas'ud. Any masala you want, ask him. Any qada you want, ask him. Halal and haram, you ask him. You want the general of the army, there's my Khalid bin Walid. You want the leader, there's Abu Bakr and Umar. You want someone unique in akhlaq, there's Usman. You want someone unique in his words and judgment, there's Ali. These are mine. But after 100 years, there will be no students of mine. But why did he smile? And it's something to understand. He smiled because he understood that as that waterfall that fell on him in his life, and he gave its bubbles over to the people who came around him, and people were created, he understood that after his Mubarak body will be put in the grave, Almighty Allah was not going to stop that waterfall. So what he said, Man zarani ba'da mamati, that remember whoever will visit me after my passing away, فَكَأَنَّمَا زَارَنِي فِي حَيَاتِي, let him understand it's as though he visited me while I was alive. Meaning I want you to come in front of my rover and just sit. And as that waterfall will fall upon me, 1-2 splashes will come on you also. And as I had created Abu Bakr and Umar in the past, I will continue creating for my Ummah Abu Bakrs and Umars. And why I am saying this, history of Islam saw it. We all heard of Salahuddin al-Ayyubi, but he never saw Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But he was one man who could conquer the world. How many generals came in the world? How many fuqaha came? There was an imam called Shafi'i, Malik, Ahmad bin Hanbal, Abu Hanifa. They never met Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, but something hit them. They became the most unique scholars in the world. There was a splash that fell on a man called Qari Abdul Basit, whose qiraat of the world would shake the whole world. Non-Muslims would start crying hearing his Quran. Some splash hit him and that Imam of the Haram was created. That leader was created. That group of Mujahideen were created. The mighty crusades came to take over the lands of Sham. There was a group of Mujahideen created. The mighty Tartars came, barbarians. They went over the world. Almighty Allah created a group of Mujahideen that stood up. That group that's been created, what made them? So this is what I want you to understand. As that waterfall falls on Medina Munawwara, that splashes it. Which Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, after every 100 years, Almighty Allah will take out for the world a new group who will make sure this religion of Islam continues moving on its right road. Meaning in the next 100 years there will have to be another Khalid ibn Walid, another Abu Bakr and another Umar. But who will it be? Then Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said Islam is a garden and the gardener is Almighty Allah. And how every garden, after every autumn, when the one garden dies, then new and weak flowers become the next garden. When that weak flower comes out, it's giving a message to me and you. If you might look at a youngster of 5, you might look at yourself and think, who am I? But remember, every era will get a new Abu Bakr and Umar. So the new Abu Bakr and Umar has to be you people. That father who's saying, I got a young son, and on the one side he got that figure that so much of evil is in the world. There is drugs, there is alcohol, there is porn, there is filth, there is dirt. That father must now lift up his hands. And he says, one side, oh Allah, I got so much of fear, how will my son ever survive? My daughter ever survive? But on the other side, oh Allah, you have made a promise that in every era there will be a new Abu Bakr and a new Umar. There will be a new Aisha and a new Hafsa. Someone has to be that person. Can it be my son, my daughter? And then for it to happen, you will have to allow your child to meet Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The first meeting will have to be the direct meeting. And that will take place in Medina Munawwara, where Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, come and visit me. The reason is, ulama have written that the person who comes into Masjid Nabawi, one is when he makes as-salatu was-salamu alayka. Normally away we say sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. May Allah send salawat upon him, because he's absent. Rasulullah sallallahu not present. But when we come to Medina Munawwara, whether it's the girl from her side, whether it's the boy from his side, he says, as-salatu was-salamu alayka. Alayka means upon you, O Allah's Nabi. Salat and salam. Why that man to go there? It is because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is saying to the world that I want you to come so I can make you my next ambassador. Ulama have written the voice of that man is heard directly by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the masjid. That is why he says alayka. And on that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam responds to him directly. And he says wa alayka. And upon you may Allah's special mercies fall. Meaning you are now my ambassador. So your word, your tongue, your voice is heard by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Although it is 1,400 years, there's a loving relationship. Ulama have mentioned when the man presents himself in front and he says as-salatu was-salamu alayka. They have written it is the aqidah of the ulama Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah that the nazar, the sight of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam falls upon the individual. How his sight transferred Sahaba from barbarians of one time. One poet says, what a sight it must have been. Kya nazar thi, jisne murde ko masiha kar diya. He says, what a sight it must have been that there were people in front of him dead. But he made them the Isas of the era. Isa alayhi salam would bring the dead alive. Dead people became Sahaba. They went around the world and they brought the dead alive. He says, what a eye it must have been of the Rasul of Allah, that he created from barbarians the best of humanity. He says, Jo bera ke, people who never knew the roads, oro ke aadi ban gaye. Now they became the guides of humanity. What a sight! Now to get that sight for me and my children, for my son and my daughter, for myself and my spouse, the first thing Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam asks is come and visit me. I will hear your voice and I will reply to your salam. So you will get my direct dua, whereas the rest of the time it's an indirect dua. The second thing is you will be blessed with my nazar, my sight. When my nazar will fall upon you, who knows, maybe you could be the next Abu Bakr also. The third that will happen to you is that my Sahaba became Sahaba because they sat in my company. As they sat in my company, why it is called Rawda min Riyad al-Jannah. The green garden which people fight so much to read their salah. Because Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam from his mimbar to his house, as he would walk daily, there would be so much of tajalli, divine splashes falling on him. It fell on the area around him. After which he said, if you want to see a garden from Jannah, this is the garden. Because so much of Allah's mercy would fall on me as I would be walking, that it splashed and splashed and splashed. Now Sahaba sat in the company. Just because they sat, the man who couldn't look after sheep could become the leader of the world. Every decision of his would be 100% on target. Why? Because as he sat, Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam spoke to him and heard his voice. One, he would get the direct dua of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He would enjoy the sight of Allah's Nabi, and that splash would be falling. It would splash upon him. Now me and you go to Medina Munawwara. So I also make a salatu was salam, so my voice is also heard. And I get a direct dua of the Rasul of Allah. So I got number one. And thereafter I present myself with adab and I stand there. I close my eyes also and a tear comes down because I'm shy. Perhaps I don't have a shari beard. I know the condition of my heart is dirty. Maybe my clothing is not according to Shariat. That woman who's on the other side, no, she's not in niqab. Maybe she doesn't wear scarf at all. Maybe she's not performing a salah. But she is also told, like how a beloved father, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw one sahabi, he was perhaps shy to come. When he came in front, he never had some big thing to discuss. He had a very difficult thing to say. He said, oh Allah's Nabi, I want to commit adultery. When everybody else has come to learn something from you, I'm filthy. I want to make adultery with so and so woman. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam calls him and he first speaks to him. And he tells him that would you like someone to make adultery with your sister? with your mother, with your daughter. But as he was speaking to him, he was getting the voice of the Nabi of Allah. And then he was getting the sight of the Nabi of Allah. And then he says, Allah's Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam put his hand. As that hand touched, and there is so much of waterfall falling on Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And as it went through that Mubarak heart, and it went into his dirty heart, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, may Allah make you have a clean heart. That Sahabi says, till the end of my life, the thought of zina never passed my mind. Now we also enter in Medina, and I'm also filled with dirt. I'm also hooked on porn. I'm also on the WhatsApp sending messages. I'm also shy. I'm involved in so many relationships. I fell in drugs. But everyone one day wants to come out. And I don't know how to come out. So I go in front there. And I think of that Sahabi. And he also came in front. He was also shy. I'm also shy. And perhaps he also cheered. I also cheered. And I stand right in front of the road and perhaps I close my eyes because I'm too shy. Now I can't even talk. Now as-salatu was-salam was coming out, but now I can't come out. Because I know I'm not the best of your ummah. But the only reason I came here is not to give a karguzari, that I'm doing so much work in the world. It's rather to say I am that weak ummati of yours. And I also need some help. So I say, as-salatu was-salam alayka ya Rasulullah, but I'm shy. So Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a loving father now first will say, that you are in the end of the day my son or my daughter. And like our father, no matter what his son is, but in the end he will say, but you are still my son. So Allah's Nabi will say, you are still my ummati. There's a loving relationship after 1,400 years. I want you to enjoy that relationship. So we stood there. And I cried. And he looked at me with love. So first he made salam to me. With the whole world, great awliya and abdal are coming. He's making salam to them, that's understood. But he got time for me also. And he replies to my salam. And thereafter he wants me to stand in front. That's why he called me. That is why Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, you come all the way for Hajj and Umrah, Makkah Mukarramah. I am only 600 kilometers away. It's far for you perhaps. But he says, come visit me. I want you to visit me. Why? See, my master got so much time, he's telling me to come and visit. Because I want to see you. So I put myself in front and said, please look at me with the eye that changed thousands already. It changed this week individual. And then I pictured it as that waterfall of divine power is falling. Divine beauty of Allah is falling on the body of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And what a waterfall is falling in Medina Munawwarah. And it's surrounded by the angels making sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And as that waterfall is falling and I'm in that environment, then I picture there has to be splashes of the waterfall. And as that splashes is there, I'm also there. And one or two is hitting me. And as it hits, it wants to go in my entire body. Now that filth is being wiped out, the dirt is being wiped out, a black heart starts becoming white. And now when I leave Medina Munawwarah, and Allah's Nabi is telling me that you are now the next Abu Bakr of the Arab world. Now that person returns home, suddenly he says, Daddy, I want to become Hafiz of Quran. So the father says, maybe he heard the Imam of the Haram reading Quran, so he was impressed. But it was no Imam of the Haram that changed him. It was one dua of the Rasul of Allah. It was one nazar and suddenly that boy whose whole life was addicted to WhatsApp, he's reading Quran now. And what a voice he got to say, wow, I never knew you could read so well. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam passed by Abu Musa Ash'ari radiyallahu anhu. He heard him reading Quran. The next morning he said, wow, it seems you got a flute from the flutes of Dawood alayhi salam. What a voice. But Abu Musa Ash'ari would have explained if he had, that, oh Allah's Nabi, before I met you, I could not read beautiful Quran. The beauty of my tongue was created because of you. He would speak to his Sahaba and say, wow, what a judgment. He would say, Khalid ibn Walid, wow, what a battle. Every Sahabi would say, oh Allah's Nabi, before we met you, we never did what we're doing. Our karamat and our miracle is because of you. Similarly, when we come back, today you are no one. You got your phone in your pocket, you got your games, you're playing Pokemon and yo-yo and whatever, dog-dongs. Now Medina Munawwara's one visit. Suddenly one boy comes back, Daddy, I want to leave school. I want to do a text of Quran. Father says, what? If you took him for Umrah. Suddenly he was becoming the ambassador. He was given Khilafat. Now that father grew that son up in what a house, the television was there. Mnet was there, internet was there, whatever the son wanted was there, but the son's not interested, daughter's not interested. The whole family, no one is wearing niqab. Suddenly the daughter says, Daddy, I want to go into burqa. The father says, hey, take it easy, think about it properly. She said, I want to go. Because Rasulullah said, you are my ambassador in that house. In that locality, she's becoming an alima, he's becoming an alim, he's becoming a da'i, she's becoming a da'iyah. Now the entire fikr is why? Because an ambassador has been created. When Rasulullah smiled on that last look at Sahaba before he passed away, he wasn't only looking at the Sahaba in that saf, but in his mind he was looking at the entire ummah coming. And that's when he would explain, where are my friends? You are my Sahaba, but my friends are still coming. He would say, it's people who will come long after me. They have never seen me, but they will give their lives for my happiness. So I just can't wait to meet them. He was calling us to Medina Munawwara, come. So take that opportunity. We have a loving relationship with the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and enjoy that relationship. When you are far, you can't go. So now when they just sit, and whether you're young or you're old, many young boys think that saying sallallahu alaihi wasallam is something of the old people. The old chacha, he must read durood, salawat. It's not for me, I'm young. So why I'm saying this? I want the young boy, you make your relationship with Rasulullah. Abdullah bin Abbas was 5, he was 6. By the time he passed, Rasulullah passed away, perhaps he was only 10. But Abdullah bin Abbas, Abdullah bin Umar, Abdullah bin Mas'ud, Abdullah bin Zubair, they were the young boys that when Nabi sallallahu would return from a battle, they would run and they would say, put us on your animal, and he would laugh, small boys, and he would put them on the animal. When Allah's Nabi passed away, they were 10 and 11 years old. No one in the world thought that in the next 30 years you will be the Imam of mankind. You will be the marja, the whole world will be coming to you. You young. I want the young boys who are sitting here today, you start reading this. Find a kitab on salawat. You get 40 salawat, you get 100 salawat, whatever it is. I want you to sit and you open that there and you feel your relationship with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When you far, you must feel it. When you near, you must feel it. When you are far, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam one day was carrying sajda. The Sahabi around said, oh Allah, Nabi, what happened? He said, Jibreel alayhi salam came to me. And he said to me, that wherever your ummah is in the world, no matter how far they are from you, if they will say wherever they are, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Almighty Allah has created 2 groups of angels. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa said, one is an angel who is by my grave. He has been given an ear, like what we call an antenna. He is tuned into the salawat of the whole world. Wherever he picks up someone saying, Allahumma salli ala, or sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it comes directly to his ear. He conveys that salawat to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, he will say to me, that so and so, the son of so and so, he sends salawat for you, greetings and dua. And he says, immediately I will reply. I want you to understand this reply. And I want you to understand the salawat. You understand the antenna. When you put on your radio, you cannot see any airwaves. But you know, if I want to listen to that commentary of cricket, all I have to do is just turn to the right, and somewhere far away one man is talking. He's talking in a mic. But after he's talking in the air, his voice is moving. And what I did, I just connected to that voice level.
And that is why my antenna pulled in the voice and suddenly I can hear whatever is happening there. That we all understand. Similarly, in the world, from the heart of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to the heart of every believer, there is a line called an airwave. And for man to tune into that airwave strong, ours at the moment is tuned in, but it's fuzzy. It's not clear. So the man just plays with his radio a little bit. And now he comes on to the right reading. When he comes on to the right reading, sometimes I want you to do this, close your eyes and say Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which is the shortest durood. And when you close it, then I want you to feel from your heart, moving all over the continents and the oceans, there is a line between me and Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And like how someone's commentary is being taken in Australia, and I am picking it up here in Marlborough, and very clear. So that man is with his cricket, and at the moment I am with my Nabi. And that line is moving. On the one side, the angel is picking it up and he's saying, "Oh Allah's Nabi Ahmad is thinking of you." And Rasulullah starts thinking of Ahmad. And there's a second group of angels who are moving around in the world, and they also pick up, someone is thinking of the Rasul of Allah, so they come and they hear it. And they are the second Jamaat that goes immediately to Medina Munawwara. The one angel already gave the message. The second angel says, "We saw Ahmad and we brought it also." And Rasulullah will second time reply to your salawat. It was one durood of yours. It got you mentioned 2 times in front of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Minimum 2 times he will take your name making dua for you. But what is happening, that line is getting stronger. I want a young boy now to sit like this. He opens up a kitab of salawat, and just for 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I want him to read a little bit. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Read it with tarannum. Sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. 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 Read some nazam and say, Balagha al-ula, Balagha al-ula, Balagha al-ula bi jamalihi, Kashafa al-duja, Kashafa al-duja. Any nazam that you know, read what tarannum, and you will see one angel will say, "Oh Nabi, you know Ahmad." You say, "Who's Ahmad?" You say, "The 8-year-old boy. He's thinking of you. And he is singing your praise." And perhaps it might happen that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam there will say that, "Oh angel, if only you know that young Ahmad is not always going to remain young. And in the next 30 years, that Ahmad is going to be the ambassador of the whole world. He will stand up with the flag of Islam. He will conquer this country and that country. He will open up this Darul Ulum and that madrasa. He will establish this masjid. The whole world will be flocking to him. You are looking at him as a young Ahmad of 5 years. I am looking at him of Ahmad, the Imam of the world." What happened when Ahmad started his relationship from a young age? So I want this to happen. This whole bayan was on this. That there is a loving relationship, and if a young boy can understand what I said, and he starts, because the salawat of an old person is appreciated, Mubarak, but the salawat of a young boy is unique. The Quran of an old chacha in the masjid is appreciated, but the Quran of a young boy is unique, because that young boy has to be the next flower in the garden of Islam. And from the young boys who are sitting here, may Allah make it at every one of you. Allah make you all the flower. Something just hits. You say, "Daddy, I want to go for Umrah." Now I come in front of my Rasul. Everybody else is enjoying the ice cream in the hotel. I had my ice cream. But I just come there, I'm so young, I'm so small, I'm so weak. And I just say, "Oh Allah's Nabi, how you made Abdullah bin Abbas, Abdullah bin Umar, Abdullah bin Zubair, they were young like me, small like me. You passed away when they were my age. But your one nazar made them the leaders of mankind. Can you do it for me also?" And wallah, the world has seen leaders. And the promise is the ummah will continue getting leaders. And Allah make it that me and all of us, we become those leaders. Get that relationship. Rabiul Awwal is that. It is a reminder for us to come back to a loving relationship with our Master. May Allah Ta'ala create that relationship. Feel it. Now and then you're tired, you're on the bed, you're sleeping, close your eyes. When you close your eyes, sometimes I want you to think of this. Muraqabah, you can make it, a young boy can make it, an old man can make it. You don't have to be there. But sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, you're already there in Medina Munawwarah. So just picture there in front of the Roga. And I see all that Mubarak waterfalls falling. And it's full of light, the entire area. And then sometimes make muraqabah, think, and it's happening. And I see in front of me the Roza is opening. And I see the Nabi of Allah walking towards me, because in my dreams and in my thoughts, anything, how I think it will happen. And in my thoughts I see the Rasul of Allah walking, and how beautiful he is. And what a shan, and what light. And as he comes towards me, I want to run away in fear and awe. The picture now, he's calling me and saying, you also come, because you also my ummah. And sometimes make muraqabah that he has grabbed me now. And as he is hugging me now, I can feel such an amount of spiritual power pumping into me. And my whole body is shaking. And suddenly the whole world is getting filled with light because of my body. And then I open my eyes and say, wow, what power there is in my Rasul. And I only need to connect to his Mubarak heart. So connect in your thoughts, connect with your durood. When you lie down at night, instead of thinking of filthy and dirty things, we have a loving relationship with our Nabi. Enjoy this relationship. May Allah Ta'ala make this, put it deep in our mind and our heart. What a deen we got. Our relationship with Quran is one, is a loving Malikat. What I want to speak about our relationship with the Rasul of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, 1,400 years plus after his death. And I love with him in my thoughts. I love with him in my actions. When I wake up in the morning, the first dua I read is because he read that dua. I go on the dastarkhan, I can sit on the table, but I'll sit on the floor. Why? Because my master sat on the floor. I will look around on the dastarkhan and see milk. I will say, my master likes milk, let me drink some milk. I will see some honey. I said, my master said, honey, what lovely food. I will have some honey. Then I will wake up and put on my clothing. I can put it on the left hand side. I can put it on the right hand side. I can be a unique man. I can say clothing, I must give it its haqq. Why right, why left? I can hang it on a hanger. And I can run and jump in it. People in the world are mad. And I'll say, my master put it on from the right hand side. I will put it on. My master took it out from the left. I walk to my shoe. Nothing stops me. I can just kick my legs. I'm in charge of my shoe. I can just put on that shoe and that shoe, or that shoe and that shoe. Or I can lie in the bed and do the siyah and throw two shoes and they land in my feet. I can do anything. I'm the boss. But suddenly I say, I'm not the boss. I'm a slave. I will say, my master walked with the shoe with humility. And he looked at his shoes. And always he would put on the right shoe and then the left. And when the guy coming to take out the shoe, he wouldn't kick his shoe and send it flying and my mother must pick it up. But he would remove the left and then he would remove the right. Then I would go to the toilet. I can jump into the toilet with two. Or I can enter with my right, I can enter with the left. I'm the boss. But I would say, my master covered his head when he entered the toilet. He would enter with the left, he would come out with the right. I love with my master because there's a loving relationship. Forgetting salah where I'm in his thoughts and in the thoughts of Allah. In my business, in my school, my friends say to me, they laugh, they say, look at you. Your trouser is always above your ankles. The rest of the world, they wear it over the ankles. You say, you look funny. You smile, you say, I don't look funny. Because you, my friend, you don't know how Jesus looked. And you don't know how Moses looked. You don't know how your religious masters looked. You don't know anything of your master. He says, me, I can tell you my master, when he wore his trouser, he wore it till here. Because I am the slave of my master and I love him, I will make sure I wear it till here. My master had on an imama, a turban. I will put on with honor that turban. My friends will laugh at me and say, you're supposed to wear a cap. Your cap must be this way, your cap must be this way. You must have sunglasses, black. You must look unique. You must have knife. You must have signs. You must have this. You must have that. I will walk in the world and say, no, I got to look. If you don't know how Jesus looked, you don't know how Moses looked, you are just dressing like an American today and a Briton tomorrow. It says me, after 1,400 years plus, I can still tell you how my master walked and I will walk like him. I can tell you how he looked, I will look like him. I will tell you how he talked, I will talk like him. How he ate, I will eat. Why? Because I got a loving relationship with my master that no one else in the world got. When I sleep, I'm in his thoughts. When I wake up, I'm in his thoughts. In my acts, I act like him. In my talk, I talk like him. In my behavior, I behave like him. Wow, I am the slave of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Love like that, and wow, you will be the ambassador of the world. You will live in the love of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You will die in his love. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam then said, Al-mar'u ma'a man ahabba. That man will be with who he loves on the day of Qiyamah. Imagine on that day, the whole world will be looking for support. And at that time Rasulullah will say, Ahmad, you mine. And then Ahmad, who came 1,400 years later, suddenly looks up and says, me? Talking to me. And Allah's Nabi says, you were created for me. You loved me, you died me, you thought of me, you would speak of me, you would think of me. You say, you think I never know about this? Your every salat came to me. Your every act came to me. When you walked according to my sunnah, the angels told me. When you talked like me, the angels told me. When you dressed like me, the angels told me. He said, I knew you loved me. He said, I never know about it. And I would always be making dua for you. But one thing I had, I said, when will be the day that I can meet my beloved friend? He says, today is the day of Qiyamah. Ahmad, come. What a day it will be. In the qabr you will go, and the angel will say, what do you say regarding this man? The man will look at Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But for some of them, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will smile and say, I was waiting to see you. You my man. So come on to that. We are the slaves of a unique master. After 1,400 years, what a life we got. May Allah ta'ala make it.